Today we talk about all the available options you have when it comes to streaming audio files on your radio station website.
This is Better Radio Websites, the podcast for radio professionals who want to see their website generate more traffic and revenue. Each week, your host, Jim Sherwood, and his special guests give you time-tested tips and secret tricks to ensure your radio station dominates digital in your market. Here we go.
Hi, it's Jim, and welcome to Better Radio Websites, the podcast that wants to help you get more visitors and the most revenue from your radio station website. Well, being in radio, we're bound to have audio bits that we want to share with our audience that are on demand. Now, the streaming audio that we're referring to today is not listening to the station live or podcasting. We're referring to the shorter one-off audio files like interviews, news segments, weather reports, on-air bits, or even commercials where you want to be showcasing your creative work. You have multiple options when it comes to streaming audio files on your station website. However, you must be mindful of some pitfalls to avoid with some of these. Some of the options that we mentioned today could actually break your website and it be down for a long period of time. So what is streaming? You may be asking yourself, isn't it the same as downloading? Well, actually, no. Streaming a piece of audio means that the listener doesn't have to download the entire file before listening to it. They're actually listening to the file as it downloads and passing through an audio player. The file is actually never saved to a device. So what are your options when it comes to making files available to your website visitors? We're going to run through 6 options today. And if you're listening to us in your podcast app, you want to go to skyrocketradio.com/podcast and click on this episode because we actually have all of these options in the post there. So you can actually see what each one of these look like. So our first option today is actually hosting your audio on your station website. Most website admins will attempt to host audio on their website and stream the files directly from their host server that has all of their website files and their photos and everything like that. This is actually quite easy to do with the HTML5 audio element, and we show you what that looks like in our show notes. And alternatively, you could use the embed HTML5 element as well. Now, if you have a WordPress website, you have an audio shortcode. And what a shortcode is, it's a little piece of code that you put into a page or post, and it turns into something on the front end. So the audio shortcode would look like an open bracket, audio, then you put the source in there, and then you close the bracket. And we have what all of these look like on the show notes. But whenever you use the audio shortcode within WordPress, you're essentially using that HTML5 audio element. If you're using any kind of a page builder that has an audio element inside of it, this is true for that also. Using these codes or methods is probably the easiest way to put audio on your websites. Just upload it, embed it, and you're on your way. However, this method of adding audio to your station website could be the most dangerous method that we mentioned today and actually take your website down if your server cannot handle the resources that it needs to play this file for several people at the same time. Remember, because the person is actually listening to the audio as it downloads from your server. So all of this happening taxes your website's resources. When you get multiple people listening to the audio at the same time, that's when things could really go wrong. One person or even a couple people listening to a piece of audio, that's not really a big deal. Your hosting server can handle that. However, when you get lots of people listening to large files at the same time, you could start running into RAM or memory or bandwidth issues. Regardless of the website, every hosting provider has limits on the amount of RAM or memory that they can devote to a website. The same goes for bandwidth or the transfer of data to and from the hosting server. Streaming audio directly from your station website can exponentially increase both of these on your server depending on the file size and, of course, the number of people listening. One of our early clients was nearly crippled because in addition to their high amount of traffic that they were receiving with their news posts and whatnot, several of those visitors were streaming an audio file of an archived football game. You were talking an hour and a half audio file, and like 2 or 3 people were listening to this. This took a lot of resources, and it crippled their website for a little while. Now, I mentioned that large football game because it brings up another pitfall of uploading audio to your hosting server, and that is disk space. Storing large MP3 files forever can take up lots of hard drive space. It can make your website bigger, and that can take longer to back up each time a backup is made. And those backups will be bigger also. Do you have space on your hosting server for all of these huge files and the backups on top of that? So you may say, oh, well, that's no issue for me because my website host has unlimited disk space and unlimited bandwidth. They're lying to you. That is absolutely not true. Every website, everywhere has its limits. Even Amazon and Facebook, they have their limits. I mean, their limits are huge because they have servers all over the world, but they do have their limits. And pushing the limits of your hosting provider can put your account in jeopardy. Your site could be down for hours or even days, maybe even longer, while everything is sorted out or your site is moved to a different, higher plan. So if running out of server resources, we're talking about memory, bandwidth, and disk space, can potentially bring your radio station website down, then we highly recommend do not upload audio directly to that hosting plan that you plan to be streamed a lot. Only upload audio there that you do not expect many people to be listening to at the same time. For example, you upload some creative commercials on your Advertise with Us page to showcase some of your creative work. Go ahead and do that. There's not a high likelihood that you're going to have 8 advertisers listening to that piece of audio at the same time. And then whenever those pieces of audio are no longer required, go ahead and delete them so they're not taking up space on your server. All right, the second method that we're going to talk about today is cloud storage for audio. Now, this is not Dropbox or Google Drive. This is actually cloud storage specifically for audio. Amazon Simple Storage Service, or Amazon S3, is a cloud storage service that offers industry-leading scalability, data availability, security, and performance. So just from that right there, you don't have to worry about space or memory. Anyone can use Amazon S3 to store and protect any amount of data for all kinds of applications. Amazon AWS is made up of hundreds of servers at hundreds of locations spread all across the globe. And each one of these servers among these hundreds have very, very high resources. So the chance of your audio file inflicting any kind of a restriction on any one of these servers is very, very unlikely. Now, you'll need an Amazon AWS account and provision an S3 instance to host these audio files. They have a 5 gigabyte free tier to get you started, and there's a link to that in the show notes. There's quite a bit of a learning curve to get up and running with Amazon S3, but there's lots of training videos available online, and once it's set up, it's fairly easy to manage. Now, pricing for Amazon S3 is not fixed, so you can't depend on the same price every single month. It's variable, and it's based on the size plan that you choose and the number of requests that you get for your files. So if you get lots of requests every single month, then your price will maybe a little bit higher. Now we're talking fractions of a cent for each one of those. So don't expect to get a $250 bill one day or something like that. That could happen, but it's not likely. And placing a piece of audio from Amazon S3 on your website, you'll just use the same HTML and shortcodes as we mentioned before, but instead of a local file that's on your hosting plan, you'll use the URL of the file that's on Amazon S3. Very, very easy to implement on your website. All right, the next method of streaming audio files to your website is using Dropbox or Google Drive. Yeah, many people would love to use the service that they use to back up their photos and online documents and everything else to stream audio files to their website. However, these services have their bandwidth limitations also, or the number of times that this file can be accessed and how many people can be accessing it at the same time. Like I said before, every website has its limitations. Nothing is absolutely wide open and unlimited. So if you're streaming an audio file from your Dropbox or Google Drive onto your station website and those bandwidth alarms start getting set off on that service, your entire account could be suspended. This means that you're going to lose access to everything else stored there, like other audio files that you're using. family photos, and other important documents. The entire thing could be suspended. While it is possible to stream audio from these cloud services, we recommend limiting them to audio that you do not expect to be played very often, like those creative commercials that we mentioned. Now, it's perfectly okay to link to audio that can be downloaded from these services as many times as possible, because downloading files takes far less resources on that service than actually streaming them. All right, our fourth method of streaming audio files from your station website is SoundCloud. Now, you've likely heard of SoundCloud. It's an online audio streaming and music sharing platform founded in Stockholm, Sweden back in 2007. The interactive nature of SoundCloud allows creators to connect with listeners and fans through various sharing tools. And they've made it amazingly simple to place a SoundCloud player with your audio onto any website using their embed codes. While anyone can sign up and use SoundCloud at no cost, there are some advanced features that will require a monthly subscription. The first tier on the platform costs around $5 a month. SoundCloud has been the go-to option for stations either not wanting to or without the option of hosting audio on their own server. Now, it's important to note that the hosting environment behind SoundCloud, as well as any podcasting provider that you'll come across, has been specifically tuned for hosting and streaming audio files. It's a much different architecture than regular website hosting. That's what makes these services so well suited for audio. All right, next on our list of ways to stream audio from your radio station website is a subscription audio hosting service. If you do a Google search for audio hosting services, you'll come up with several services that allow you to upload and share audio. Some of these will have embed options where you can actually put that audio on your website, but some do not, as they're only used for sharing those download links with other people. Being subscription-based, all of these services will require a monthly fee, and that fee will be based on the amount of storage space that you require. Now, our pick of these services is a service called Clip It, and we'll leave a link to that in the show notes along with an audio clip. All right, last on our list of ways to put audio on your radio station website, YouTube. That's right, more and more people are using YouTube specifically for audio. Podcasters have been going crazy over it. A lot of podcasters repurpose their audio for their podcast onto YouTube. Why? Well, it's the number 2 search engine on the planet. If someone searches for your town on YouTube, it's likely that an interview that you did with the mayor is likely to appear in the search results. Just ensure that your titles and your descriptions contain keywords that can be found properly. And YouTube is absolutely free. You can use the tools inside your phone to create this video to upload to YouTube. And there are dozens of subscription-based online video editors to choose from. Or you have the ability to export videos using free tools like the image editing tool, Canva. That's right, they have an export to video option. And there's a sample of that in the show notes. And it's super simple to embed a YouTube video basically anywhere. You could share it off to Facebook and to Twitter. I mean, it is just so simple to use. And you may find better engagement for your audio due to the more visual nature of YouTube. All right, so that's it. Our 6 ways to get streaming audio files to your station website. Each one has their pros and cons, but you have to weigh which one might be the best for you. Perhaps using a variety of the methods that we've covered today will work for you based on the kind of audio that you're using and how many times you expect it to be streamed. Hey, we love helping radio stations with their website. If you know of someone who needs help with their radio station website, please share this podcast with them. We certainly do appreciate it. Leave us a review and sign up for our newsletter at skyrocketradio.com. Oh, and please do. We have some amazing things coming up very, very soon that we want you to know about. Have an awesome week online making your radio station website better. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Better Radio Websites. Inspired by today's episode? Be sure you are subscribed and share this episode with a friend. Visit skyrocketradio.com/podcasts for more episodes as well as show notes for this episode. Need help starting or making your station website better? Visit skyrocketradio.com.